Hello, you're listening to the IoT Weekly Podcast. Hello and welcome to episode number 24 of the IoT Weekly Podcast, brought to you by Gearforge Software. This week we have an exciting interview with Mynul Kahn, CEO and founder of Field Nation. My name is Matthew and I'm joined by my co-host and good friend Cliff. How you doing today, Cliff?
I am doing wonderful, Matthew. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. It's Friday. That's always a good thing.
Yes. It's Friday, a little chilly. As some folks know, we're located in Minnesota. We've got a little bit of chilly, but if there's not snow on the ground, we're pretty happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everything's green. Leaves are coming out on the trees. It definitely looks like spring, which is a great change from a few weekends ago when we had 2 feet of snow or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
So this is great.
And with spring, it sounds like you've got some new guests that have moved in, Matthew, to your house.
Yes, so we found in the corner, kind of under the slab of our garage, a little nest of garter snakes. Of course, they are harmless. They're really actually helpful little critters because they eat things that are probably worse. However, they are kind of freaky, especially because we counted at least 15.
15 snakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in all shapes, or not shapes, but sizes, I guess, from tiny, obvious babies to pretty big old guys. So, and my wife is deathly afraid of snakes.
Oh my gosh.
She is a vegetarian and loves animals. Would never want an animal to come to harm, except for snakes, which she pretty much urged me to just slaughter them all. Yes.
Gosh.
No compassion for snakes, compassion for every other living thing except for snakes. So I did not slaughter them all. I actually captured them over 2 weekends and put them in a Home Depot bucket, and I released them in a nearby park where hopefully they'll lead happier lives without my wife, trying to kill them.
So was there an ultimatum? It's like either the snakes go or we're moving?
More or less. Yeah. That was pretty much it. And I mean, they had to go. I don't want snakes in my garage. That is terrifying.
Oh my gosh. Well, the fact is like 15 snakes, not like one or two. You see one or two and you're like, oh, look, there's a snake. 15? I mean, that's a lot of snakes.
It is. I'm not scared really of snakes. They are a little unsettling. Like, I'll be mowing the lawn and one slithers off and it's kind of, it's like some part of my
makes you kind of just shiver. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's weird how they move. But these guys literally are harmless. So there I am with my gloves on, capturing them, like chasing them around my yard, catching them, putting them in a bucket. And it was actually pretty interesting. Like, it was interesting to kind of interact with the snakes and see them and everything. Callum, my son, he was brave enough to hold one for like 10 seconds. And then he was like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore.
Funny.
But I think I got all of them.
Nice job.
Got them all over 2 weekends. They are gone and I haven't seen one since. So that's 1 week snake free. We have taken this, so it's at the corner of the garage, and we've taken to calling that corner Snake Island. That's my wife's name for it. So.
She's like, I will not be over in Snake Island.
No, we had somebody come out and look at landscaping for us, and we were talking about that corner, and she told the lady that we just call that Snake Island. So on her landscaping plan for us is Snake Island. So that's that was interesting.
Oh, that is so funny.
How about you, Cliff? What kind of springtime activities are you into?
I am excited about black dirt, Matthew.
Yes.
And the reason for that is similar to you for landscaping, stuff like that. As you know, we remodeled a house on the river last year, and now it's time to start working on landscaping. And one of the things my wife wants to do is to build a garden. So I ended up building a not a raised garden bed, but like a little bit one off the ground, just so our dogs don't go running through it, because I've got a lab and he will tear that up. So I built a small 6x6x18 box. And so, fingers crossed, we'll get some black dirt delivered today, and this weekend I will get that thing filled up. So I realize getting excited about dirt is like getting excited about snakes, but I'm pretty excited just to start seeing some stuff grow. I love growing our own fresh veggies and things like that.
Yeah, I get it. I theoretically love to garden. The reality is we had a little garden at our last house. It was a little raised bed, and
Yep.
I definitely grew some veggies in there. But what I found is I didn't have the time usually to spend it takes a lot of upkeep,
It
really.
does. It
And
does.
so,
I'm impressed when you see these folks with these massive, like, just huge gardens.
oh yeah, it's like a full-time activity.
Yep.
And I've scaled way back. So now I have just some little boxes around the deck.
Oh yeah.
And last year I did tomatoes, and that worked out pretty well. But this year I think I'm just going to do basil and mint, like just herbs, and a
Nice.
few little maybe one-off pots here and there of
Yep.
other herbs or something. Maybe a hothouse tomato kind of in
Oh
a
sure.
pot, something like that. Just to keep it simple.
Oh
But
yeah.
I also with you. I'm with you. I love to grow things, and I think if I ever got to that point where I would want to retire or semi-retire, I could see myself gardening in the summer times. So
I could too. Just
yeah,
it'd be fun outdoors doing that sort of stuff.
absolutely. Well, folks, if you have any feedback, we would love to hear from you. You can get in touch with us via email at podcast@gearforgesoftware.com, or you can find us on Twitter. We are at Gearforge IoT, and those are our platforms. We really don't branch out to other social media.
And we did get a feedback from Ben Lee. He's the founder at Rootstrap, and he just said congrats for being a papa, and he said he really enjoys our podcast.
Oh, that's great. Thanks so
Yeah,
much for
yeah,
reaching out.
yeah.
I really
So
appreciate that.
I know you always love getting some feedback, so I thought that was nice just to share with you, Matthew.
I do, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. We really started the podcast as an effort to reach out to build some community
Yep.
within IoT, and really focused not just, I think there's a fair amount of community options for if you are in sort of the maker crowd, you're interested in building things, not necessarily for a job, but just because it's fun to build things. But for business-focused folks who are interested in IoT, we felt maybe it was time to do some community building, and a podcast seemed like a good way to do that. We can certainly bring information to you via headlines and news and interviews, but we'd really like it to be a conversation. That's the goal. That's even why we love having these interviews, is because we can have a conversation with folks about what's going on in IoT and business and those sorts of things. And
Most
so
definitely.
we'd love to hear from you. We had a great chat with Florian this week, who's one of our listeners from Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just fantastic being able to connect. So please don't be shy. Send us your comments, questions, feedback, recipes, you name it. We'd love to hear from you.
Snake pictures, all of
Snake
them.
pictures.
Yep.
Exactly.
Garden plants, we'll take it all.
That is right. So Cliff, who's sponsoring our show today?
Well, now that the conference is over, Gearforge Software is our sponsor. So I'll just kind of run through it real quick here, and then we can get on to the main segments. I'm pretty darn excited about the main segment today. So Gearforge Software is an IoT consultant that works with mid-sized companies that are ready to dip their toes into the connected world. If you don't know where to turn when figuring out your IoT strategy, give Gearforge Software a call and have a discussion. You can learn more at gearforgesoftware.com. So, as I'd mentioned, we're really excited for the interview today. So we're going to segue now into our interview with Mynul Kahn. Hello. Today we are thrilled to get an opportunity to chat with Mynul Kahn. He is the founder and CEO from Field Nation. Mynul, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you.
Great. How are you doing today, Mynul?
I'm doing great. It's Friday morning. Can't really complain.
I totally agree with you. The sun is hopefully shining, and it's just another beautiful day. Mynul, and some of you may know, we had a discussion with Alex Smith. He is the data scientist, and gratefully, Mynul decided to come on the show and give us a little bit more background about himself, around how he started Field Nation, and then just describe some of the areas he's passionate about inside of Field Nation. And we're going to kick it off a little bit around getting some background from Mynul. So Mynul, if you don't mind, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and your passions and how you got started as an entrepreneur?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned that, I started Field Nation, and it was about 10 years ago. And right before Field Nation, I had another marketplace business called Technician Marketplace that I started right out of college in 2004.
Oh, wow.
And I built that out and then sold it after 2 years, and then started Field Nation in 2008.
That's amazing.
So I've been doing sort of this, contingent workforce marketplace type of business for about 15 years. You asked me, how I got started. To be honest, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I was born and raised in Bangladesh and came to United States for my education, bachelor's degree. And I was always told that, you go to, you get, your degree and you go for a good, secure job.
Yep.
That's how I was raised by my parents. And while I was in college, I did an internship with a startup company in St. Cloud where I went for college.
Uh-huh.
And I was the fourth or fifth employee of that company, and I saw the excitement. I got really excited to work there, saw the process of building a business from ground up, building the product, building the sales and market channel, and it was a ton of fun. And that's when I guess I got addicted to building businesses. And so out of college, I started Technician Marketplace, my first marketplace business, and then sold it in 2006 after 2 years, and started Field Nation in 2008. So it's been 10 years running.
Do you mind, where did you get your, where'd you get your vision for even the tech marketplace?
Yeah, it was totally an accident. What I would do, in 2004, I just graduated, and I would just go in coffee shop and just meet people, right? And so I met with a gentleman who was project managing a large rollout, point of sales rollout for a company called Fujitsu. As you may know, it's a large global 500 company. And I saw him kind of how he was deploying technician across the country and didn't have a sophisticated way of sourcing these people, the qualified technician, and managing them using Excel spreadsheet and stuff like that. So as I was discussing with him, an idea came that, what if we have a centralized database of qualified technicians, and we'll overlay that with web-based workflow management system, and that really sparked his interest, and he invited me to go meet with people within Fujitsu's organization, and that's really how it got started. It was totally an accident. How I met this gentleman who happened to be in the right spot doing the right thing, and I came up with this idea, and they liked it for whatever reason. They saw a lot of value in it, it started my first company, Technician Marketplace.
That's amazing. So you said that was 2004, and then it sounds like you sold it roughly 2006. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
And so then you started Field Nation after that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. And so from a Field Nation standpoint, um, it's somewhat similar, right? So from an idea standpoint, did you build on the idea of the tech marketplace? Is that what you end up doing, or is that totally different?
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. It's I don't see it, you know, two different companies. I see it, it's one thing that I've been doing since 2004. And let me give you a little bit background, why even I sold the first company.
Yeah.
When I got started with Technician Marketplace, I have zero knowledge of the industry. And I was very fortunate to have a company like Fujitsu as my customer. So I built the product around Fujitsu, but what happened, because of my lack of knowledge and understanding of the market in general, I built a product that was so narrow to solving Fujitsu's problem. And after building it for 2 years, I realized that it's not scalable in other industries for other customers and so forth. Um, and so I decided to sell that company end of 2006, and took a year off. Got married and all that.
Sure.
Good stuff.
Yep.
But when you take some time off, you also kind of reflect on what went well and what didn't went well, and what can you do better and stuff like that. And I realized, if you think about 2008, that was deep in the Great Recession, just middle of the Great Recession. And I saw this market trend of millions of people getting out of their full-time, W-2 job arrangement. And then on the other hand, you have companies that are more becoming, more demand-based, meaning that, if I need job done, I just need the job done. I am not looking to hire full-time people.
Yep.
So there's that seismic change that was happening in 2007-8 timeframe that affected this, labor marketplace. And I thought that, hey, I can take what I started with, Technician Marketplace, and create a more broader marketplace for workforce or on-demand workforce that can tackle multiple industries and multiple countries. And so that's kind of how it got started. Obviously, if you know something about marketplaces, it's extremely difficult to start a marketplace, out of the gate, to be very broad because of the demand and supply problem.
Yep.
So what we did in the beginning, we focused what we knew, which is the IT services.
Yep.
And we build that supply side, and we build the demand side, and from there we continue to expand.
So you start on the IT focus because that's where you knew, and then broaden out as far as that's concerned, and continue on, because you're entirely right. Understanding, it's that chicken and egg scenario. It's like, all right, I'd like to work with you, but you don't have any technicians to do the work that I'd like to get done. And on the flip side, the technician's like, yeah, I love the idea, but there's no work. So why would I use the platform? So I can totally understand that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I got to imagine then, early on, so it's 2008, we've got Field Nation going. What kind of people did you need to get the company started?
Very good question. So for me, it was whoever I can get excited about the vision of the company.
Sure.
Whoever can join the mission, and I call that breed of people to be the missionaries, right?
Yeah.
Who can get excited about the vision, have the conviction, and just join the company this early stage. There is nothing to show for, right? There is no revenue. There is no, and I didn't raise capital this early days, so there was nothing but the vision, what we can do, what we can achieve in
Yeah.
the future. And so I needed those people, like myself, who can believe in the future, and join the company, and who can wear multiple hats,
Yep.
because obviously the resource is very limited. So the 2 or 3 people you can get. I just wanted them to be a generalist in the beginning. Be the product guy, be the marketing guy, be the sales guy. So depending on the day and the time of the day, you be a product guy or an engineer or maybe a customer service rep. So
Sure.
do everything depending on what needs to be done.
And I presume that included yourself. You had to wear quite a few different hats at the very beginning, Mynul?
Oh, absolutely. Again, depending on the day, I remember my Saturday and Sundays were, processing payments to our contractors.
So you were accounting.
I was the chief accounting officer during weekends, and chief sales officer Mondays, and chief technology officer on Tuesdays. Absolutely.
Sure. Oh my gosh. So you mentioned something just a moment ago. You said you didn't raise capital at the very beginning. Do you mind kind of sharing why you decided to wait? Because it's like in today's world, everybody talks like, oh, you got to go for your Series A round, and you've got to be just hitting the ground, pitching everybody looking for capital. But you didn't do that.
No. For first 2 years, we didn't raise any money. It was all, whatever I can chip in to get the company going. And then in 2010, we raised some angel investment from the from small circle of people that I knew who believed in our vision. A
Sure.
small round of capital from them, and then fast forward in end of 2015, we raised about $30 million. But you're absolutely right. It's very unusual. You'll see companies early on raise $1 million, maybe $5 million. And so our first institutional round was $30 million. And we raised it after 7 years. I mean,
Oh wow.
it is very, very unusual. Yeah, from that standpoint.
Yeah, that's much later on. Did you feel like it gave you, because then you're essentially you're funded off of operational budgets. Did it feel like that? Because I've heard with money comes additional possible expectations and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think by the time we raised our, Series A, $30 million, the company at that time, I think we have over 100 people. Company has been profitable, growing at 50% year over year. It is a real company and thriving company.
Sure.
And early on, I think it was extremely hard to build it's extremely difficult to build any company with no money or little money.
Sure.
But I think it was the right thing to do because we needed to, we had so much conviction in our vision. We wanted to build a company that can really, change the way work gets done. And we knew that, it's not going to be a sprint for us. It's going to be a marathon. It's going to be a long range marathon for us. And we needed to build a foundation early on so that we can control our destination.
Yep.
And we can, the thing that, I see happen for many companies, you raise money early on, and it comes with a lot of expectation. Sometimes there's a wrong expectation, like you raise $5 or $10 million, and you didn't even find the product market fit.
Sure.
And the money comes with the expectation, like I gave you $5 million or $10 million, go, start scaling, right?
Yep.
But the problem is that you're not ready to scale. You're still building the foundation. You're still experimenting what works, what doesn't work, and stuff like that. And what happens with that wrong expectation, companies spend a lot of money in sales and marketing, And if you spend money in sales and marketing, you will get some revenue, and that revenue may not sustain. That growth may not sustain.
Sure.
Because the product is not market fit yet.
Yep.
And we wanted to avoid that at any cost early on. And it was extremely hard. But it worked out really well for us. We found an amazing partner, Susquehanna Growth Equity, that came in, end of 2015. And even their fund structure is so different than traditional fund. It's an evergreen fund. They have patient capital. They can go on for as long as we need to. And they're flexible. They can put more money in and ride with us for as long as we want them to ride with us.
That sounds like you found a great partner from that standpoint.
Yeah, we are very happy with that.
You just mentioned something regarding kind of from with regards to the company scaling. So in the very beginning, you'd mentioned that you had to find generalists that really were tied to the mission and really the vision. And so as the company scales, does how you hire change as far as the people are concerned?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the beginning, you're almost like your company is almost like a team of people who are trying to solve a problem and experimenting, what works, what doesn't work. And so those, 4, 5, 10 people are like a project team that are trying to figure things out. And they're all generalists, they're all, chip in whatever need to be done to figure out, what really works in terms of finding that product market fit and build that initial foundation. But once you find that, then the question is how do you scale?
Sure.
Your sales need to scale, your product need to scale, your technologies need to scale, your support all the function need to scale. And that comes from the experts, not from the generalist. Experts who have done this before, that can come in, put the, systems and process and people together, and then can scale. So that started to happen for us after, probably 5 years into our journey. We and the scale also has different phases.
Sure.
The initial phase is still sort of, it's not, you're still building the foundation within different departments. That probably came in after 3 to 5 years from our beginning. And once you mature that, then you bring in, much more experienced people to come in and scale each department from maybe, 5 people department to, 30, 50 people departments and so forth.
Sure. Yeah, so that's quite a factor that you're growing those different areas. I know.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
One thing is that, and at each point we try to bring in, we try to bring in either, people from outside who has that experience, or complement the people that we have inside with our outside experts who can, team up with the internal people and bring the right level of expertise.
Sure, that makes total sense. So it sounds like we've seen Field Nation grow. Do you mind sharing a little bit about Field Nation?
Yeah. So I'll give you a kind of a 30,000 level view of what Field Nation is.
Sure.
Maybe you already heard from Alex's podcast. So Field Nation, it's a platform that enables on-demand work. What that really means is that it allows, companies and contractors and freelancers to come together, and it allows buying, selling, and managing labor. And so let me explain that a little bit more, how we do the buy, sell, and the labor management.
Yep.
We do it using, the platform has 3 pillars. The first pillar is the marketplace pillar, as I call, the first foundation. The marketplace today is the largest on-site work marketplace with over 300,000 qualified contractors all over U.S. and Canada, and we're expanding outside of this region. And we are connecting this 300,000 resources with over 1,000 companies that need the work done in the field on site, right? And
Sure.
And the way we do it using this marketplace technology. And so we are, the marketplace is generating over a million work on an annual basis. And so that's the first foundation for the platform. Now this pillar is tightly integrated with the workforce and workflow management pillar. And what is that? That has all sorts of management tool, all the way from project planning, work planning, scheduling tool, identifying the right contractor for the job, deploying them in the field, tracking their job, and engaging them using the mobile workforce management app that we have, and all the way to the project completion information. All of that happens to our work management tool sets that we have created.
Sure.
And that sits on top of the marketplace that I just explained.
Okay.
And then the third pillar is the services pillar that we provide, which is all the way from paying the contractors. So one of our customers may use 10 contractors or 10,000 contractors in the field, but they don't have to send the hundreds and thousands of payments. We take care of that. We take care of all the payments electronically. We take care of end of the year tax 1099 processing.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you guys handle the 1099 side, because that can be a pain in the butt.
Oh, absolutely. You can imagine, Cliff, that most of our customers are high volume customers that are managing hundreds and thousands of jobs across U.S. and Canada, and managing their payment, managing end of the year tax 1099 form can be really a painful process for them. And so on top of that, I'll explain, I'll tell you a little bit more. More importantly, we also process and manage all the insurance. So our customers,
wow.
Yeah, that's huge value add. So our customers don't have to worry about, does this contractor have insurance, or does the insurance expire? They can engage with any contractor, or the 300,000 contractors we have, in any time, and not worry about whether this contractor have general liability insurance or professional liability insurance or workers' comp insurance. We take care of all that. It's a peace of mind. They don't have to worry about any of this stuff. We, in the background, every contractors are covered with us. Yeah,
and I know just working with some large companies, just navigating the onboarding process is time consuming, because you might have master service agreements and liability and contracts and everything else. So I mean, this sounds like it really streamlines that process for both sides almost.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just to give you a couple more, couple examples of the complexity that we are trying to solve. We are bringing nationwide jobs to the local service company. So on the one side of the platform, we work with very, very large organizations that need nationwide work done. On the other side, we are connecting those jobs with local service companies. And for those local service companies, it would have been really difficult to get the, as you mentioned, the master service agreement and all that stuff, done with this nationwide service organization. So they don't have to worry about that, because we are their sales channel, we are their marketing force, and they don't have to worry about how do I collect the payment. We guarantee the payment to the local companies that are getting the work done. On the other side, for the nationwide service companies, they don't have to worry about how do I recruit, how do I qualify. We guarantee the quality of those technicians. Every technician that they use they go through our onboarding process and vetting process and stuff like that. But more importantly, anytime our customers engage a contractor, they can open up a work profile and look at every work that they have ever done through the marketplace. So they'll give you an example. If you open up a work profile for ABC contractor, you'll see on the top of the profile it'll say the contractor completed 1,000 work project from 100 different clients and have 5-star, 4-star rating. And you can go deep into those history, like what kind of work they have performed and what kind of ratings and feedback they have received. So all of those information at fingertips for our customers. So at the time of engagement, most of our customers don't even bother calling and vetting these technicians and contractors because they trust the information that they see on the profile.
So this brings up a great question then, because I think it leads right into a question here is, quality is a huge concern, right? So how do you help ensure quality across the board?
Yeah, great question. So and quality on both sides. How do you know the buyer is a reputable buyer and it's going to be pleasant to work with them? And then also, that the contractor can do the job, and it's not, when we got started in 2008. People will always compare us with Craigslist. Like, how do I know these people are real, qualified people, right? And there's just so much we do to ensure quality because, our customers rely on us for millions of dollars of projects. So it takes one job to cost them $1 million project. So let me give you a couple of examples of what we do. So when the contractors sign up, they go, they have to create a profile with their work experience, with the skill sets, upload a copy of their certifications, license, and all that kind of stuff. They have to upload the insurance, and we go through that process from our side. So and then they go through background check, they go through drug test, all of that.
Wow.
So that's one. But then every job the contractor performs, that becomes the real marketing collateral because that becomes available in the profile. So that, that's what I was explaining, that when you open up a work profile, you see all the jobs that they have ever performed and what kind of ratings and feedback they have received. But on top of that, also what we do is that any time there is any issues or friction between the buyer and provider, we get involved and we validate, is it a quality problem coming from the contractor side, the quality, whether the contractor was not qualified to do the job. And we get involved and we take disciplinary action. So we have a dedicated team. So anytime a contractor unable to perform a job, we immediately get involved and take disciplinary action, whether that means, completely getting rid of the contractor from the platform and whatnot. But also, you heard from Alex's podcast, we have machine learning matching algorithm that constantly learning from billions of data points that we are collecting every single day, how to match the job with the right contractors. And just to give you an idea, we do over 1 million jobs through the platform, and only 0.5% of the work will have some sort of issues. So think about it, 1 million jobs, and we are not involved, and nobody complaining any quality whatsoever.
That's
Half
amazing.
a percent gets escalated to us, and we get involved, and we take right action, whatever that means. And we took it to the next level with the machine learning matching algorithm that we just launched. That is, so if our customers now, assigns one of our recommended technicians, the escalation level is even down to 0.1%. So the quality is just absolutely phenomenal through the marketplace.
That's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. So it gives them peace of mind, and then the fact that they have an escalation process just as the icing on the cake.
Oh, absolutely. We stand behind it, right? I mean,
Yep.
like I said, our customers will spend millions of dollars through the platform, and it takes one job, one contractor to completely, screw up the project and lost millions of dollars, right? And so that's why we need to stand behind the quality, and we do take it very, very seriously.
So from the sound of it, when you're talking through how the marketplace, the workflow, and the services, kind of your three pillars work, I mean, it sounds like you assist probably local small businesses. You probably help them grow and from locally, it sounds like. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, the name of the game for us is the growth. We are helping these nationwide companies to grow in large distributed areas, but also the local companies to gain access to the nationwide work. Um, one thing I always like to explain to people, Cliff, is that anything that we do at Field Nation falls in two categories. All the initiatives either have to fall in the growth in the growth category, meaning that if if it's not, you know either it has to help our buyers to help grow,
Yep.
or our contractors to grow, either that category, or it needs to help our buyers or providers to be more efficient,
Oh, sure.
uh, and save time, save money, and so on both sides, whatever new product and services that we offer, either it falls under the growth category, we are helping them grow, or we are helping them to be more efficient.
Sure. So it sounds like you're even from a growth or being more proficient. Do you have any stories that you could share as far as like your impact on small business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you just very recent example. I got a
Okay.
call from probably a couple months ago. I got a call from a gentleman that I met 3 years ago in Chicago area, and um, he had a company at that time that was very localized. It was a Chicago Metro company providing services in that region.
Yep.
And 3 4 years ago, he got to know about Field Nation, and he called and left a message for me saying, "Mynul, Field Nation changed my life. I wanted to just thank you." And I called him back. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And he said, you know, his company now, after fast forward 4 years, his company is now providing services in like 15 or 20 different states, and with very large organizations. And his limitation of where he can serve and what he can serve has expanded quite a bit because of Field Nation's capacity to provide right type of labor in different geographic areas. So that's one example for a small local company. I'll give you one other example, kind of little bit different.
Okay.
It's a large European company, $1 billion European service company. Provide predominantly in Europe, they provide IT technology services, but also other areas in Asia and other maybe Australia. But they didn't have any presence in North America. 2 years ago, they started to provide services. Today, they're growing, over 100% year over year, and their entire service delivery in the North America is done through Field Nation platform.
No kidding.
And so it's an amazing story. Here's a billion-dollar European service organization, didn't have any presence in North America, and we are creating a vehicle for them, a channel for them to expand their footprint in North America. and we are their, we are their way to go in the market in North America, and it's a phenomenal story.
Both of those are just absolutely amazing, Mynul. Absolutely amazing. I mean, you're literally changing lives.
And we're very proud of that. You're absolutely right.
That is just, and I love stories because that really demonstrates the impact that you have. Wow, that is just amazing. And on a side note, do you mind if I ask kind of from a freelancer standpoint, do you help out freelancers as far as work is concerned in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so for the freelancers, majority, I think 60% of our worker base would be, true individual freelancers, and maybe more than 60%. And I meet with freelancers all the time, and they will explain their biggest challenge, is how do I sell? How do I market? How do I, manage my cash flow? So the freelancer, if you think about that, they're driven to pursue their passion, right?
Yep.
Someone knows how to do the IT work or telecom work or other type of work. But when they become freelancer, they are their own company. They need to think like a company. It's they need to think like, how do I get my next project?
Sure.
I need to sell. And a lot of these freelancers are not comfortable becoming a sales guy and a marketing guy and a collection guy to collect money. So for them, our value prop is that you plug in your skill with Field Nation, and all of a sudden you have a business. How? Because we are bringing millions of jobs, and we become their salespeople, right? We
Sure.
are the sales engine for them. We are we are bringing jobs to them. They don't have to worry about that, where it comes from. We are constantly feeding them work, and as they complete the work, their work history becomes available on their work profile, which becomes a beautiful marketing collateral for them, and it's constantly going out and showcasing their past experience to thousands of customers that we are bringing into the marketplace. So that's one. The second thing is that all the back office stuff, I mentioned the payment processing, the invoice. They don't have to worry about the one thing the freelancer will say that cash flow is very tough. They don't want to wait net 30, net 60. There is a term called net never. Unfortunately, a lot of these freelancers get the job done and they never get paid.
That's awful.
Guarantee their payment. It's awful. It's awful, and we guarantee their payment. They don't have to worry about insurance, right? So all the back office stuff is done by Field Nation. All the front end stuff in terms of getting getting the customers to come and giving them the job. So all we ask the freelancers to do: focus on your craft, focus on what you do the best, the job itself, get the work done, and rest. We take care of everything for you.
That's just huge.
We are absolutely helping these freelancers to grow.
So they can do what they love and not have to worry about the typical sales cycle, right? The ups and downs that you get when, I'm busy now, I'm working. Oh, now I'm not busy, I need to go sell. And it's just kind of the ups and downs of when you're a single freelancer. And that's really tough to balance all of that. That's excellent. Mynul, this has been outstanding. Do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners today?
From what I understand, your audience is mostly entrepreneurs. So it's been a pleasure to share my story with you, Cliff. And one closing thought I'll leave with is that everything, it's a gig economy, as they call it, and it's absolutely a wonderful time for entrepreneurs to start businesses with very little capital, right? You know, you can get pretty much any software that you need on demand. You can get people that you need on demand, the skill that you need on demand, um, and you don't have to spend as much capital to get started. So with the cloud-based technology and the cloud-based expert network, you know, you can think about, how can you take advantage of this, on-demand, you know, economy and build your business with very little
Sure.
capital. I'm sure, people, thought about, using Amazon, AWS, building a software and, all that stuff. But have you thought about, taking advantage of, the cloud-based expert network like Field Nation
Mm-hmm.
and tap into the type of expert that you need to build your business? So that's one thing I'll leave with.
And where could our listeners go to learn more about Field Nation? Where should they go?
The best place would be, go to fieldnation.com.
Okay.
Also, you can follow us on Twitter, or Facebook, and LinkedIn is a great place where we are constantly pushing out latest information.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I just want to say I really appreciate your time, Mynul. I know you're a super busy individual, and thank you so much for sharing today with us, and we greatly appreciate it so much, Mynul.
Thank you. It was wonderful to share the story with you and your audience.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks. So what a terrific interview. Cliff, it was great.
I just love talking with Mynul. The fact that he's an entrepreneur coming out of, I mean, just right out of college, that's just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's interesting connection to, we spoke to Alex Smith from Field Nation about data science a few weeks ago. And so just kind of putting the pieces together, the business side, the entrepreneurial side, and the data science side, that was interesting. So,
And I always find it fascinating when you hear more companies, I know we've talked about this offline a little bit, Matthew, regarding taking capital right up front.
yeah, absolutely. And it's something you and I have discussed quite a bit. So,
Yep, versus
yeah.
operational growth. So I just find that really interesting that he took the path of let's get the product down first and then go after a capital round many
Which,
years later on.
yeah, which clearly still resulted in great growth. I mean, they're a
Yep,
very successful company. So.
very.
All right, folks. So once again, if you have any feedback, you can shoot us a message at podcast@gearforgesoftware.com. That's our email, or on Twitter @GearforgeIoT, and we would love to hear from you. So that just about wraps things up. Cliff, do you have anything fun planned for this weekend?
Well, Matthew, so some of you know, I just said last week, I'm a new papa. I've got a new grandson, so I actually get to watch him this weekend, and I'm a little nervous, Matthew.
Oh, yeah, why is that?
Well, and maybe for you too, when's the last time you've had to change a diaper?
Oh, it's been many years now.
Diaper, bottle feeding, all of that stuff. So I'm definitely a little nervous on those pieces.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So yeah, it'll be a few hours on Saturday, but very grateful that they asked me to come out and watch him. How about yourself? What do you got? Anything fun planned?
Well, it's a good question. I've got a lot of kind of business related stuff that I kind of need to catch up on, but I'm really hoping that you and I can jump on Battlefront maybe tonight
Yeah,
and do a few rounds. That would be good.
I have lots of time, so we can do more than a few rounds, I think.
Kick some stormtrooper butt, I think.
Exactly. Yes.
And, in closing today, Cliff, I would like to just thank Zainab for being on our podcast. She was an intern with us at Gearforge Software during this last school year, and she's actually back home now. But we just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your help. with the podcast, and we're likely to have Zainab back on the show for some future episodes coming to you from Tunisia. So I did want to just mention that. And thank you so much for listening. We hope you'll join us again for next week's show. Until then, so long and be well. Bye, Cliff.
Bye.